How can you tell somebody they pregnant in December, but you have the baby in July? But you would not have had your baby. You would have not have had your baby.
But did I have
July.
sex with you?
No.
Did I have sex with you?
No, you didn't.
You're not a man. You're not a man.
Mr. Christian, you are not the father.
That have nothing to do with
We're here for you. We are here for you. Listen, Jerome, get her, Jerome. Miss Christian.
Because during that text message, she had sex with the dude too on his birthday. When she kicked me out, she had sex with him too. And there's another guy.
A third guy?
Yeah, there's a third guy.
One of the most devastating things on earth is probably watching the man you've always known to be your father deny you. And that's exactly what Precious Christian is going through right now. You see, Precious is in court today to prove that she is Mr. Christian's daughter. She has petitioned court to conduct a DNA test in order to prove that she is in fact his daughter. She also says that upon you now she has been told that Mr. Christian is her father and doesn't understand why he is denying her. Mr. Christian, on the other hand, says that there is no need for a DNA test because he is positive that he is not the father of Precious. He is that no matter what she has been told, he knows the truth, and that truth is that he is not the father. After reading out the brief, Judge Lauren asks both Precious and Mr. Christian to lay out their case. According to Precious, she has always had to carry the hurt around knowing that her father doesn't want her. She has also had to bear the burden of this paternity issue alone, as she is the only one we need to step up and find out what the truth is. She insists that she also bears Mr. Christian's last name and does not understand why he keeps denying her.
I mean, I feel alone. I don't have any dad side of the family. I never had a father in my life. How can you say you're not my father when you've been in and out of my life since I was little and I still carry your last name? I don't get that.
And so you've had to bear the burden of this paternity issue.
Yes, and I've been the only one willing to step up.
However, according to Mr. Christian, he understands how painful it might be for Precious, but he still insists that she is not his daughter. He says he doesn't believe so because when he was much younger, he and Precious' mother had a very tight relationship, almost like Bonnie and Clyde. They did everything together, whether it was right or wrong, and when he found out that she was pregnant for the first time, he took the child to be his own without knowing if it was his. However, when she got pregnant again with Precious, he told himself he wasn't going to take responsibility, except he was sure that she was his.
When she got pregnant for Precious, I told myself I wasn't going to sign up again unless I knew the facts, unless I knew it to be true.
To Precious, this doesn't make sense because she claims his entire family accepts her life as her own. She also desperately wants to know the truth because she's expecting a child and needs to know her family. Precious and Wanda support her, and she claims she introduced Mr. Christian and Precious' mom. Wanda also claims that Mr. Christian accepted Precious as his own when she was born. Things suddenly changed after he got married again.
I introduced them.
You did?
Yes, I was going with one of his family members. I introduced them. And first of all, he was claiming her, taking care of her, doing stuff for her. So you're not claiming her because you got a new wife?
After hearing all of that, Judge Lauren asks Mr. Christian if he has any memories of Precious as a child, and he says he has issues with his memory right now. He does remember going over to her mom's place to try and bond with her, but sadly he never felt any connection to him, confirmed what he already knew: she wasn't his daughter.
But I do remember times where her mother would call me and I would come try to bond with her, but I never felt a connection or a bond, even in those attempts to try to connect with Precious.
He also revealed that they had done his blood test when she was just 2 years old, but the results came back saying that there was a 99.8% chance that he didn't have the genes to be. Now, this revelation got everyone in the court confused because that isn't how DNA tests read. It either says there's a 99% chance of paternity or says there's a 0% chance. So to clear up the confusion, Judge Lauren reaches out to a scientist for clarity.
Defendant is saying that he read in a result that he was 99.8% not the father of Miss Christian. Is this an accurate reading of a DNA result?
It's one that I've never seen before, and I've been at this for a long time.
With that, Judge Lauren, Precious, and Christian to get a DNA test done after court is adjourned. They, however, come back in a few days and not only learn the shocking results.
Christian versus Christian. When it comes to 26-year-old Precious Christian, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Christian, you are not the father.
They also learned that the real father might be a relative of Mr. Christian's. Up next, we've got Mr. Jameson in court trying to get clarity on whether or not he's the father of both of Miss Smith's sons. He has therefore petitioned the court for a DNA test because he thinks he might have made a massive mistake signing one of the birth certificates and needs the results to get his name off it. On the other hand, Miss Smith claims that she is positive that both her kids belong to Mr. Jameson and hopes the result will save her family. After reading out the brief, Judge Lauren asks both Jameson and Smith to lay their case before the court, starting with Jameson, who claims that he has more than enough reason to doubt paternity. According to him, he moved in with Miss Smith just 2 weeks after meeting her, and then a month later, she kicked him out because she wanted to get down and dirty with her ex. She eventually asked him to move back in, which he did. As soon as he got the opportunity, he went through her phone and found out that she was in fact with 2 guys at the time.
Who were you with before you asked him to come back?
2 dudes, Your Honor. She was with 2 dudes, you know.
How'd you find that out?
Because I went through her phone. And I see she texting her ex, and she talking about, oh, I don't love him. He's just someone that's just around.
And so you confront her?
I confronted her about it.
What happened?
She kept denying it because she didn't know. She didn't know I went through the phone. Because during that text message, she had sex with the dude too on his birthday.
Later on, Jameson also finds out that she also got intimate with another guy in the neighborhood, and then found another guy she got with. Despite not denying all of the allegations, Miss Smith admits that she did all the things he's talking about. However, she says she never got intimate with any of them while she was with Miss Jameson. She said she was with someone else when she found out that she was pregnant, but she had an ultrasound done. She discovered the date of conception happened to be when she was with Jameson.
Testifying is that when you got the ultrasound, it came back that you were 3 months pregnant.
Yeah, the baby.
So
Michael
when you counted back, you felt like it wasn't this other guy's baby now.
Exactly.
It was Mr. Jameson.
Yes.
Mr. Jameson went on to show the court the calendar of the pregnancy tag didn't add up. But as usual, Miss Smith defends it and says that Jameson is lying. Smith claims that she's tired of seeing Mr. Jameson deny her kids. She also says that she wants them to be a family because she didn't have her dad growing up. However, all the back and forth about the paternity of the kids are stressing her out. To top it off, she also says that it's not healthy for the kids.
I want my family to. We always begin to arguments over little crazy nonsense stuff, and then it just leads right back
crazy
to
nonsense stuff,
about
Nana.
the kids.
We're too old for the nonsense.
The kids not mine. Don't
Bad
call me about the
energy,
kids.
bad vibes, we don't need
call
that.
me for I'm tired of going through that. All that.
After hearing both Jameson and Smith express themselves, Judge Lauren realized that they both want the same things but are having trouble communicating with each other. To finally set the record straight, Judge Lauren decides to finally pull out the results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jameson, you are the father. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jameson, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you.
This next case is even more heated, with Mr. Don White claiming that the defendant, Miss Julia Mock, somehow managed to have his parental rights revoked for a girl he believed was his child, therefore allowing another man to adopt her. Don has also petitioned to carry out a DNA test and prove that she is in fact his daughter. Once the DNA test proves that she is his daughter, he'd like to be compensated with the sum of $5,000 for fraud that has resulted in a lot of emotional distress. On the other hand, Miss Julia claims that the only reason her daughter was adopted by another man was because she doesn't believe that Mr. Don is her father. She insists that she doesn't owe him a single dollar and hopes the DNA test proves it.
And it's because you don't believe Mr. White is actually her biological father. In fact, you're adamant that you don't owe him a single dollar, and it's your hope that when today's test results are revealed, Mr. White will leave you and your daughter alone for good.
Yes.
As usual, after reading out the brief, Judge Lauren asks both Don and Julia to lay their case out, starting with Don. According to him, he and Julia got married in the early 1980s. Julia gave birth to their first son just 10 months after their wedding. She then became pregnant with Tasha. However, Mr. Don ended up going to jail for some reason. A few months later, Julia gave birth to Tasha. At the time, Julia probably thought Tasha was Don's child because she put his name on the birth certificate. Don couldn't defend himself because he was in jail. About 30 days after Tasha was born, Julia took her to the jail to let Don hold her, but unfortunately, he was transferred upstate for 10 years the next day. A few years later, Julia decided she was done with the marriage. She filed for a divorce, and it was granted almost immediately because he was in jail for over 2 years. But just when he thought the drama was over, she also petitioned the court to revoke Don's parental rights to both their kids just 1 year later.
Julia had filed and petitioned the court for divorce in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's allowed because I was incarcerated for a period exceeding 2 years. About a year after that, she petitioned the court to involuntarily terminate my parental rights to both my son and to Tasha.
As a result, Don taught himself law, stood as his own defense attorney, and won. He also found out that she had moved the kids, so all the letters and cards he sent didn't even get to them. The judge ordered Julia to bring the kids to the prison to visit him and to accept collect calls as long as he used his prison wages to cover part of the cost. Damn. And as Judge Lauren puts it, That was pretty good lawyering.
She was ordered to bring the children down to the prison to visit me. She was also ordered to collect calls from me as long as I used my prison wages and was able to cover at least half of the cost.
That was good lawyering.
Thank you, Your Honor.
However, that didn't stop Julia. She told him that she was going to have Tasha adopted anyway because she wasn't his daughter, and for the first time ever, Don began to have doubts about Tasha's paternity. When Judge Lauren asked Julia about her side of the story, she simply said she cheated on him because he was sleeping with other women.
But you were sleeping with this other man.
Yes.
So therefore, it's your belief that you were sleeping with this man that truly is Miss Mock's biological father. But because you were married to Mr. White, you put his name on the birth certificate.
Yes, because the other gentleman walked out of my life too.
Julia eventually got Tasha adopted by her new husband illegally and stopped the visitation to the prison. After growing up, Tasha decided she wanted to find out the truth after a near-death experience she had at 26. She finally reached out to him and they began to bond. Before then, the last time he had seen her was at his son's funeral, and he was practically kicked out of the place.
The first time I saw her was at my son's funeral. She was an angry young woman then, and I understand, and I got blasted pretty good. I was basically asked to leave the funeral.
Your son's funeral? You were asked to leave.
Yes, I was.
After listening to all sides, Judge Lauren finally decides that it's time for the results.
White versus Mock, pertaining to 30-year-old Ms. Tasha Mock. It has been determined by this court, Mr. White, you are not the father.